Hello, welcome back to the letter. We're gonna continue with Ash. I'm sorry, maybe something actually exciting will happen this time. Seriously, Zach would probably make a more reasonable officer than me if he only had the heart to join the force. He's one of these more people like him. But as good as that thought is, I push all of it into the back of my mind as Isabella and I head for my car. Tonight, I can't stay distracted. Except for a few half-hearted attempts to get some kind of reaction from Isabella, the drive to BRC is a quiet, awkward affair, more so the hour-long wait for nightfall. Even with only the two of us, the place is rife with tension, only a matter of minutes now. But the ticking seconds don't take away the edge, and for the fifth time I reach out and fiddle with the radio, adjusting and turning the knobs with no real purpose. It's a nervous quirk I developed and never bothered to correct or instead got something to keep my mind occupied during long nights. What else is there for me to do? The person I usually count on for a casual ride of the blue chat refuses my attempts at starting.
Ash, out with it!
The way she quickly falters into silence after, in spite of the tone she's taking, though, it makes me doubt if she really means anything she's telling me right now. She hasn't even glanced my way since we arrived.
Having second thoughts? You can still back out if you want.
We're just going to my office. Why should I?
Dunno? You can get in trouble, maybe. This isn't exactly legal.
Scope BRC out, see if the real estate company has any more information that may be of help. And find things about Cooper and the other agents assigned to the Ermengarde mansion. According to Isabella, it's the last property the victim worked on. Sure, I could also check the station for full reports. That's the easy, semi-legal way. But I don't want to bump into the chief right now. The guys at the precinct will definitely throw me out in his orders as soon as they see me. Not that my plan right now is any better, I'm just breaking to a different place, more or less with a civilian to boot. The latter still doesn't sit well with me, it never will, especially if this might put her in a very tricky position afterwards. She's been very careful when it comes to her work. Also a model employee, as people would say. Why is she throwing caution to the wind
I'm
now?
not an employee here. I'm not supposed to be looking for any confidential stuff. Only people like you are privy to.
If you mentioned earlier that this is your plan, I might have had enough time to think about it. I already promised to help if you need access to those files. I didn't think you'd want to see them this soon and in this way. Besides, the same goes for you, right? You were taken off your case. Won't you get in trouble with your boss?
Honestly, it's a toss-up between breaking into her office or into the Wright's mansion. As it stands, I'll have an easier time getting in here first. After all, why would someone want to break into a realty company? Been here many times before anyway, for a few casual visits when I wanted to bug Scaredy Cat. Over the years, I had more or less grown familiar with their security setup and how badly staffed they are. Plus, it's an old building. If the bankruptcy rumors are true, it just means their access protocols might also be outdated.
Still, I can do this on my own, you know.
Really? And how are you even planning to get into our office without an access card? Please explain.
Well, I was going to pry open the card reader and use a gecko.
You're a hopeless case. I really want to know why no one has locked you up yet.
Yeah, you're helping me with this. Willingly. I don't think that'll sit well with the Philippine embassy either. Chances are you'll probably get deported the minute they find out.
Low blow, I know, but it's worth a shot when she can still turn back. It's not like I don't have any means to get into the place. With or without her, I have a
At
way.
least I have a reason to be snooping about. My badge and rank can speak for me in case things go south. You?
For a passing second, it seems to work, and a panic and hesitation flashes across her features when she looks at me with searching eyes. Then unexpectedly dissolves, not behind the fear I'm anticipating, but underneath something sharp and searing. I'm not sure what she sees exactly, or what she's hoping to find in the short while she holds my gaze. All of it merely goes unspoken, and no longer than a minute later, she simply averts her attention back to the window, training it once again at some point outside.
Isabella, please, now's not the time.
It's too late for that, Ash. Give it a rest.
An appeal spoken in a voice too harsh coming from her. Perhaps unintentional, perhaps one that's already too exhausted of everything going on lately. It's hard not to concede when she takes on that tone, and soon, despite myself, I sigh. Tucking away every concern, I've been looking around, before trusting her on this, putting to her the same confidence she has implicitly given me all this time.
Alright, okay, if that's what you want. And don't worry. I didn't mean what I said earlier. I won't let anything happen to you.
Her lips briefly turn up in a smile, though none of the cheer reaches her eyes.
Just get this over with, okay? Everyone should be out of the office by now.
Somehow, the uncertainty in her posture makes me wonder if she intended as some kind of comforting gesture. Whether it's for me or for her, she doesn't let me find out. Without saying another word, she exits the car while I'm left scrambling and chasing after her. She's already at the side entrance, a hand raised in the guard, and the card reader beside it, and another poised to push the door open, and I catch up to her. Whatever doubt there is has been in her face a while ago, it's gone. Seeing her like this makes it easier to believe my worries are unfounded, that things might go smoothly this time.
And where do you think you kids are going? It's late. Most offices in this building have already closed up shop for the weekend.
Vlog seems friendly enough, though one can't really tell from his voice alone. He might be the wary sort for all I know. Keeping an unconcerned face and aloof air won't hurt until I figure out how to wiggle us out of this situation.
Just come back on Monday if you have important business.
But from the way Isabella's face brightens up, looks as though getting through won't be too much of a problem. He's probably been working here for a few months already then, maybe around 4 to 6 months max. Otherwise he would have recognized Isabella or me at first glance. I haven't shown my face here since I've been assigned to the firm case a year ago. In the first place, none of their security officers ever lasted a year in service. The longest was around 7.5. I'll give this guy around that before he gets fired or finds a better paying job. For the moment, his too friendly attitude is almost a gift.
Hey, Seb!
Oh, look who we have here. Been a few days since I last saw that ponytail in here, Santiago?
Close enough!
Wait, don't tell me yet. I'll get it right this time. Sanchez!
You were closer the first time?
Drat. I swear it is on the tip of my tongue. I just need a hint to remember.
I take it back. This year's not going to last past this month. Can't even remember a regular employee's name.
Alrighty, I'm sure of it this time. Centillon?
Still a few ways off, Seb.
Isabella, we don't have all night.
I know, just let me handle this. Sorry, Seb. Some other time. We're in a bit of a hurry. I just need to get a few things from my cubicle. Important work stuff, you know? Is it okay if we drop upstairs for a sec?
Oh, absolutely. No, go right ahead. As long as you have your access card with you, we're good. Not sure if I'm allowed to let your boyfriend in, though.
Who, me?
My what?
Your boyfriend. The guy with you, isn't he?
That's a fair observation, if I do say so myself. Needless to say, the silence that descends is both uncomfortable and terribly awkward. Although the latter is probably coming mostly from me, because in the next second Isabella laughs. Other than the ones I've heard from her lately, a comforting sound really, after seeing her in such a dour mood since this morning. Even as all of this subsides into mere trickles sooner than I'd like. It's comforting to see that I'm at least partially responsible for it, despite my poor heart being beaten to a sorry pulp.
Oh, no! No. He's definitely not my boyfriend.
She might as well have set it on fire and reduced it to dust while she's at it. Frankly, the number of no's in that sentence alone is a bit too much. Perhaps one would have been enough to get the message across that she really had to put it that way.
That's impossible! Stop being funny, Seb. I'll go on ahead, okay?
She quickly shuffles inside with nothing more than a small wave, leaving behind an even more awkward atmosphere for me to wade through. It would have been bearable if I didn't have to suffer through a stranger's amusement. Oh, woe is me.
Not the boyfriend, but close to it, huh?
Mind your own business.
Kids these days. Good to see her up and about, though. Thought for sure she'd up and disappear like the others.
Excuse me?
You know, stuff in the news.
You mean what happened with Rose Cooper?
If I'm going to be stuck here with him for a while, I might as well try to gather as much intel as I can. He may just be a guard, someone who has no real authority, but most of the time people like him are the ones who know more than they let on.
Yeah, but even before that, we've got a couple of good blokes we never saw again.
Really? Those guys could have just resigned for all you know.
Dunno, I only catch tidbits of stuff from over here. Though seriously, I heard the branch is getting flushed soon, but that's no excuse for anarchy. Figures why Boss Man's been in an awful temper these past months.
They managed to strike a good deal with the mansion in Anselm, right? That didn't do the trick?
Didn't seem like it. The bloke shouting like no tomorrow again. Wasn't very pleased when Gurley called and asked for another leave yesterday afternoon.
Gurley? Isabella?
Not too surprising, considering she's already been gone for 3 days, and now she's asking for another. Not that's a bad thing, it's within her rights as an employee, but Isabella rarely uses her work leaves.
Yeah, poor lassie if you ask me. She found him a buyer for that mansion after all. The Least you could do is be considerate to her after a family member's passing.
Wait, what?
The rumors, BRZ, Rose Cooper, missing and action employees, all of it ceases to matter in that instant. Almost on instinct, my eyes zero in on the intercom speaker as if staring daggers at it. Will show me the man behind the voice so I can see the truth in his face myself.
Oh, you don't know?
No, what?
Nothing. I shouldn't be the one you're asking, and, you know, things might get a bit boring here. No one really wants to hear what a poor old guard wants to say. Why don't you just go after her? As long as you're not looking to create trouble for me, it won't be a problem. You aren't here for that, right?
He's lucky I'm not here to hurt anyone. If I were someone with ill intentions, he might not be smiling at the end of the day.
Well, no, but...
I'll go and unlock that side entrance for you then. Just don't forget to turn off the lights before you both leave, okay?
Hey, wait a second. What do you mean by...
He cuts off the connection before I can finish. The rest of my question dies in my throat. Soon the latch clicks and the side door swings open. This a stout man wearing a uniform still too loose for him waves me over from the gap before he disappears behind the station again. Just my luck. Here I thought I was going to have to count on whatever Isabella brings with her. Although no matter how much I want to feel happy, something else has already taken a firm seat in the forefront of my mind. Is that why she's been acting not like herself today? Since when? Of course, as I step into the building, I try to push all these questions as far down as I can. I need to focus. Work is work. But if what I've heard is exactly what I think it is, if it's a sign of things to come, honestly, I don't feel too good about that. It's a quiet ride up the elevator. Quiet ride up to the 7th floor where the BRC looks for the main office is. Seb has been kind enough to switch the guest elevator power on just as I'm about to head for the fire exit stairs. Which is a welcome relief. I'm an active guy, but stairs I don't want to tire out too quickly in case things get ugly. There probably won't be any trouble with the building this quiet, but you never know. I swear, the whole place definitely feels eerie at this time of night. But until I confirmed anything, these are still just stories. Worse things can happen. No need to scare myself. Staying calm means fewer mistakes.
Oh, I sure am fucking gutsy, especially with what I'm doing.
I'm breaking a lot of laws here. I'm also putting Isabella in a lot of risk. Best thing that could come out of this is that Isabella's right all along. Worst case scenario? 1. Someone finds out Isabella's involvement in this and her boss fires her. 2. I find evidence that would implicate BRC or Luke Wright in a crime and my meddling, if I'm not careful enough, makes it admissible in court. Though I'll be honest, I strongly prefer losing my job or facing Wright over some spirit or ghost or whatever it is. I could always work around the problems with the former. Isabella could also find a better job. BRC never did pay her properly, despite her efforts. But fighting off a phantom? How does one even do that? Do guns even work with them?
Yeah, not going to happen.
But tonight I'm here to fix things. If I do it without leaving a trail, all the better. I think that's what I'm good at. Well, what I'm probably never going to be good at is finding the proper words when a stitch calls for it. But seeing Isabella's small form beyond those doors, how she persists through, despite carrying an entirely different burden this time, how she's pretending as if everything's normal, it's simple not to try. People who have never looked beyond her smiles will never know, will never understand. Hell, even Rebecca is probably not aware of this. I get it, we have another problem. We have other problems at hand. I've done the same thing plenty of times to protect myself after all. But it's all in her eyes, and once she glances up at the few light grabs I give the door, she wastes no time in leaving the mess of papers on the table and opening it for me. Oh, even her confusion as she takes in my presence barely hides it.
Seb, let you in?
The rough edge in her voice rings a whole different tune now that I'm aware why. But knowing it's different from hearing it straight from her, I simply can't simply bring this up, can I? It's not a topic suited for casual conversation. Oh, fuck. What did I say? Don't you want to talk to me about it? As much as I want to help, there's a distance between us I'll never be able to cross. One that wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for me. Perhaps if I had been more honest years ago and less of a coward, I might have been able to. Figures couldn't even do that for one person to keep telling myself that I cared deeply about.
What can I say? I'm a very charming person.
To a rock, maybe.
This is the closest we can get to it, I suppose. The light banter, the fleeting glances, sometimes the long bouts of silence. And it's enough for me it is, because even without words, there's comfort. With her, it's easy.
Must be a pretty cool rock then.
Ugh, get over yourself.
Hey now, I deserve some slack here. Today's supposed to be my day off, and yet here I am helping you out.
Helping. By standing at the door.
Well, you're not exactly letting me in.
Despite what she says, she moves to block me when I try to enter. I must have expected this the second we walked up the building's entrance and counted on the night shift guard to bar me from the place. It's reassuring to know she's somehow worried about me, although it's a bit misplaced at the moment. Besides, her concern aside, I really can't let her get into the thick of things without me. Not without all the problems on her plate right now.
Isabella!
Seriously, Ash. Seb might get in trouble for this. You might get in even bigger trouble with your boss.
And you're not? We've already talked about this back at Zach's. It's out of the question.
At least do it for Seb, please. He's a really nice guy. But the way things are going here, he's...
On that, I agree with her. Seb's not such a bad fellow, might be a little careless with the job, talks too much, but he means well. I hate to see the guy leave here with a bad record in case something goes wrong. Or the anxious look she shoots back to the table behind her, bring an even bigger worry.
Did you find something? Aside from what you told me about yesterday?
Not yet. I'm not sure. I haven't started going through the files we have in the records room. Just the ones they handed to me and Rose.
Let me see.
Wait, Ash!
Isabella, I already promised you that no one's going to get in trouble after we're done here. Even Seb. I'll make sure we leave the place clean.
Yeah, her hesitation's still there, a split second of indecision as she tries to form an argument. Eventually, when none comes to mind, she steps aside.
Okay, but we can't take the original files out of this office, clear? Not even a single sheet. We'll just have to make a copy.
Don't worry, that's the plan.
It appears to reassure her. A nod, then shortly suggests for me to follow. Passing the sea of cubicles, I can't help but take in everything in their office, a force of habit for the most part. As far as I know, BRC books were used to own this whole building. Offices and several floors. Once upon a time, when real estate is still a lucrative business for the company on this side of the country. Then competition showed up, and suddenly everything's not so good anymore. It only got worse as the years went by, according to the rumors. Now the branch is just this floor, despite what the huge sign on the building's facade says. And frankly, it's not too hard to believe when one looks at the state of this room right now. A number of desks have been cleared out. Personal mementos are scarce as if the employees have gone on an exodus. That would be the downsizing, probably still worrisome though. First, I shake away all of this, but Isabella starts handing me the papers she's been looking through. Focus fray. There's no point in wanting or dwelling any longer on it. That's why we were here in the first place, to find out what the real deal is, the old-fashioned way. Isabella's presence is a whole other blessing too. I couldn't imagine how long this would take if I pushed her going in here alone.
Is this everything? Where are the documents you mentioned?
Still locked up in the records room. Do you need them now?
Bring them here. Everything that has to do with the mansion's sale. Even those who worked on it during the renovations. The cleanup. Everything. Including your mandatory sign-in sheets.
It's nothing to bring up, at least it elicits a laugh from her before she heads toward the records room. She remembers. And no matter how weak the sound of it is from her usual tone, it's a welcome thing to hear. It reminds me that the Isabella I know is still in there. She returns minutes later with a thick stack of folders and binders. For the next half of the hour, we work in complete silence while we dig into everything compiled in the folders. Not an easy task considering how thick the whole thing is, but there's two of us. In fact, Isabella does most of the work, sorting the contracts and employee lists and stuff we won't need in a neat pile. Just the files for the restoration loan makes up a stack of papers that's an inch thick. Third-party service providers hired by for the masonry, radiators, woodworking, plasterwork, slate roofing, and a whole bunch of other things are well documented. Hell, even every single contractor who worked on the project were listed individually, even if they were just there to do the plumbing. It's a high-profile and high-cost estate, all right. But with that scope comes the loopholes, meaning plenty of room to hide something in if there's something fishy going on. All I have to do is find a pattern. It doesn't take long. Upon closer glance, despite the original owners shouldering the renovation costs, it would be surprising if they managed to break even on the Ermengarde mansion. What with the additional expenses for the open house, the commission for their agents, and other overhead fees, at one point the negotiations to get it listed under BRC's name almost broke down too. Some disagreement about the listing price. The owners wanted to be rid of it as quickly as possible while keeping the worth at a profitable level. BRC was insisting on a higher amount, double what the appraiser suggested. This plus the rumor that their branch is closing. BRC looks really is in the red, and the sale of the mansion could easily been a desperate move to keep the branch afloat.
No wonder the final sale happened as fast as it did. Did you know about this?
No, they took it off our hands after I submitted the final documents for the sale. I didn't even know until I read this. I'm not sure if Rose did. I've only been given the key to the records room after she... Anyway, my point is, they've kept all the files from me. Rose was the one who compiled everything from our side. And even then, she was probably not aware of this. There's only so much they let us know. After that, they just told us to wait for our commission, and that the legal team would handle the rest. The rumors are true. Huh.
Seems so.
Jesus, place is just unlucky, going bankrupt while the rest of this crap is happening. But this isn't what we're looking for. What we need is the who, the people aside from Isabella and Cooper involved in this business with the mansion, and the how they are now. Can't do much with the outside contractors, they won't be on the file. The employee list, on the other hand, even with 2 people working through the file, the whole task still takes quite a while. A quarter of an hour later, when we put down the papers to the side, we move on to the clients upon Isabella's insistence. For that, the sign-in form from the open house comes in handy. Something that gives me a laugh when I spy the fake name I wrote in one of the sheets.
Why'd I even pick this name? It sounds so lame.
What name?
Nothing important. Just focus on those papers you have. We need to finish.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Nope. That's not it. I suspect something... Okay. She snatches the papers away before the thought of hiding it occurs to me. Not that there's much secret, and Isabella found me that afternoon anyway, but still.
Lee?
I've been careless that day, tailing Luke Ray without confirming where they were headed off to. While the butler is terribly efficient in keeping the rights engagements from the public eye, there are other ways, if only I've given it the time of my day. In retrospect, I've been too eager, too impatient to find something that'll crack the case and be done with it. Maybe my failure goes as far back as the day of the open house, not during the party last night.
Yeah, well, I was pressed for time.
Seriously? Ashley? Were you even trying?
Oh, come on. You didn't even notice I was the one who wrote it down.
Of course I wouldn't. Only an idiot would use his real name.
It worked, though. Admit it. It's genius. Who would have thought, huh?
She responds with a roll of eyes and drops the matter entirely by shoving the paper back into my hands. Let's back to our respective tasks afterwards, for Leslie skimming through everything. Red, set aside, get another one. Looking back at the sign-in sheet, I spot Luke Wright and handwriting listed up top. Not that I don't know about them already, of course, but scanning through the list, the name immediately comes to my attention.
Madeline Williams.
Something wrong?
Huh? No, just that I remember this girl listed here.
She frowns, moves her seat closer, and takes a careful read of the sheet. There's a long moment before she speaks up again, but from the way she tenses, she appears to be expecting the worst already.
What about her?
She was with me, in the group following Cooper, when we toured the upstairs part of the mansion, I mean. Rather loud one, especially when we took a peek into the attic. Kept talking about the ghost stories the whole tour.
Then, do you think she's...
She was reported missing 3 days after.
There's a ruckus at the precinct today. Her family filed it. Threats were naturally given at the lack of progress days later, desperate ones. Her family's willing to shell out all the cash they have just to find her, to no avail, unfortunately. Officer Benjamin had been in a bad mood ever since he spoke with them, but what can he do? What can we do? He's tied, we're all tied. There's only so much we're able to do with everything that has been shoved into our hands recently.
She still hasn't been found. It's already been a week.
Isabella makes no further comment aside from a nod. Instead, she sits back on her chair with a distant look in her eyes, her hands balling to a fist as she struggles with her frustration. Or maybe it's anger. But the moment doesn't last long. Soon her grip loosens and she folds her hands back on her lap. Her expression, however, one I've seen too many times in the mirror. What does one say to a person burdened not by one loss but many, who carries it on her shoulders like a badge of shame? I've yet to find the answer to that myself. Until then, the only way is forward, press on to see where our attempts at fixing our mistakes might lead us. Saw my own doubts, a glimpse of the look on her face is enough reason for me. Can't just give up. There's too much at stake, too much to lose. With a renewed focus, I continue. On the third and last sheet, I spot another one. Beatrice Wild, one I recall from the newspaper obituaries, died of a heart attack. Letter of correspondence expressing condolences to her family confirms as much in her files. Passed away at age 74 in her sleep.
She's at that age. It certainly could have been a natural death.
Right? I'd like to believe so. But 3 more letters turn up when we rummage through the stack, and it leaves nothing more than foreboding feeling in me. They're all addressed to families of clients who have passed away in the past week. Regardless, these go into the pile of things worth looking into after our visit here, along with William's info sheet. There are just so many names, so many faces, each one I've seen that day, and here I'm wondering if they're all right. It isn't a selfless thought that brings up the question in mind, rather it's the logic that if more of them are still alive, more people I can choose to question. Nothing's concrete yet, of course, these are just speculations, but we're making progress. Once done with the shine sheets, I'll stash it along with the growing pile in my left hand, pull out as many of the other documents as well as are prepared for me. We're working through the employee list now, those who have been assigned to the mansion. Because if Isabella was to be believed, if what she's seen and what happened to Rose Cooper is because of that letter. I need to know everyone who has possibly read it, aside from the 3 of us. If they've been noticing strange things, for all I know, these may have just been a terrible coincidence. Although the thought of that starts to diminish as we dig into the BRC's company files. 15 minutes later, the stack close to my elbow has risen from 5 to 21 different dossiers. Client and employee documentation, people who have either visited the open house or worked on the property in some capacity since the discovery. Turns out there were 2 more employees who handled the mansion directly aside from Cooper and Isabella. First inside, the realty specialist, and Mark Julius John Marie, the estate appraiser.
This C guy, he was in custody just the other day.
Really? Sir John has been looking for him. He stopped reporting to work a few weeks ago. Are you sure it's the same person?
Yep, this is him. Folks at the precinct said they went to his house after a noise complaint. They found him just acting all crazy. Had to take him in when he started getting violent. He kept screaming about a woman.
Oh. Immediately she stiffens. I don't want to bring it up or imply a connection to Isabella's story, but that is exactly what happened.
He was driving the guards mad, but he didn't last too long in there. A few hours in, and he just started bashing his own head against the wall, and, well, it was messy, to say the least.
Oh no, we had no idea. Is he okay? HR just marked him as AWOL because none of their calls would get through.
He's in the hospital right now. I heard they're putting him into a psychiatric ward as soon as he recovers. He's still a bit unstable.
John Marie, on the other hand, his employee file notes his date of leaving in even when his final payment had been given. Along with it, there's a letter to his family about the appraiser being found dead in the office. The communication is hush-hush, and there's mention of compensation if they don't talk about it to the media. Inspector Abigail has often scolded me for not reading the reports on a regular basis, but I try to keep up to date as much as I can. When I do, I make sure I'm aware of the gist of what's going on in my city. This never reached the police's ears or the health and safety.
Do you know about this guy?
Executive. One glance at her says everything. They've hidden it from the media, they've kept it from the police. It's not surprising this will also be secret for someone of Isabella's position in this company. Fuck.
Rose was looking for him. Last week. We haven't heard anything from him either. Until now. They never mentioned this to us.
Business going under and someone dies while working here? Of course they want to keep that quiet. It's bad publicity. This whole thing is just getting freakier by the minute. Nevertheless, I hand the files for Isabella to make a copy of.
The pages with their names, addresses, and contact numbers will do. We'll start with the ones who live within the city.
Sometimes there are things you really can't just brush off as mere coincidence. In my line of work, once a pattern pops up, it's only right to be suspicious. Especially the thing with Sai. See, how would I say it? It hits too close to the stuff my own friends have been telling me.
All of this?
It's considerably thinner than the one she brought in, yet somehow the way she hugs the folders close to herself makes it seem heavier. Like she's hanging onto it in the same manner one would latch onto a lifeline.
Only the noteworthy ones.
And those that might still be alive might. She doesn't need to know that.
We can't check the outside contractors, but the guys with the direct connection to BRC and the people who attended the open house should be enough. We don't have time to see how everyone's doing, especially if what you said is true.
For a second, she appears about to argue, then quickly decides against it and hides it away before anyone reads the question in her face. Then, in a two-abrupt motion, she turns toward the copier and gets to work. Soon, only the machine's constant thrum fills the air around us, while the camera's so busy cleaning up the mess we've made. Lack of talk is awkward, and to put it mildly disturbing at worst. I've gotten so used to letting her just babble away whenever it's just the two of us. I could tell, however, she wants to do more. She wants to fix this mess herself, and that desire makes her angsty. But at the same time, she's learning how not to be impulsive or stubborn, exactly as I've told her yesterday before agreeing to any of this. Maybe these so-called changes I've always been with her. Dire situations have always pushed people to change after all. Although seeing this happen in front of me only makes it difficult to find the proper things to say. Mr. This stands in charge. What is left for us to talk about? Certainly not the news. What's worse is when you realize all of this in hindsight, right after you've already ran your mouth.
You know, for a house your company seems to be in a hurry to sell, they still made quite a fortune out of it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3... 6. Are you sure they're planning to give your entire share for this? This isn't a small amount, especially given the usual cut. And their accounting department isn't in the greatest shape either.
Even if they don't, it's not like someone still needs it.
And there's the reason why people don't let me talk. Silence once again descends throughout the room, denser compared to the ones we shared tonight. The handwriting still here movement, sharp and precise while she feeds the originals to the machine. And with one last click, all of it stops. Her feet shuffle slightly against the floor. When she moves away, something creaks softly, probably the table, as she settles her weight against its side. By the time an apology is already at the tip of my tongue, but...
Belle,
Papa's gone, Ash.
With those scant few seconds, everything between us shifts as the gravity of her words sinks. Right then and there, something harsh and unmovable rises between us. Death is something I'm familiar with. Almost 10 years in the police force, it's not impossible not to be acquainted with it. But this is different from those dead bodies we examined in forensics, a far cry from the victims we found on a bad investigation. Those I could easily distance myself from. No emotional attachments, no need for pretenses. But somehow, I still find myself grasping for things to tell her, any words of comfort that dull the pain, because even without looking at her, her grief feels palpable enough for her pain and an immutable weight hanging over us. Okay. Tell me about him.
Huh? When what?
Your dad. I mean, when did you find out?
She doesn't answer. Not immediately, anyway. For a long moment, the hush simply stretches out before us, spanning across the seconds we let pass while we simply stand there waiting. Eventually she exhales, lightly muted enough that I might have missed it, had I not been paying attention to her every movement.
Yesterday, around 3 in the afternoon there, Mama called. She told me he passed away in his sleep, and I guess I can take comfort in that, huh? That Papa wasn't in any pain when...
She trails off, releases another ragged breath hidden underneath her freckles. Each one's mirthless, heavy with nothing but sorrow. Then she falters into silence, and for all my attempts at lightening her burden, I'm suddenly at a loss. Reassurances could only do so much when her only reason for staying here has suddenly been taken from her. A hope yanked from under her feet right after it was generously given. And without that, with the one person who pushes her to endure all the shit we're going through, she's going through, means nothing but struggle. But what does one say to a person fraying at the edges, slowly wearing thin, breaking? Are words even enough? What right do I have anyway? I cannot give her anything, apart from lies that changed me as a person and fictions she may or may not have even want for herself, because no matter how easy she has wormed herself into our lives, how immutable her person has become, her own heart will always yearn for something else. Her home.
Tell me about him.
Huh? About what?
Your dad. Tell me about him. Anything. Just talk. Say anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll listen.
Silence again, as if she's testing the weight of my question, for what purpose it is, but for a reason even I can't see it right now. After a while, although she starts reluctantly, her voice hitching, faltering, and stumbling on each syllable, she chooses her words. A rough start, but soon it steadies. And along with it, to keep company, the stories from childhood and memories she's fond of are the tears. Aww. Despite this, in spite of the grief choking her words off, the hurt closing her throat, and the sobs wrecking her lithe form, she continues, like the mere act of speaking is a relief in itself, a release. She tells me of her father, the very person who named her, how she looked up to him, how she was a bit of a tomboy growing up in her attempts to imitate him, how the man encouraged her to pursue what she really wanted. Perhaps even the only thing she ever did for herself, him grown up not wanting anything more than food to put on their tables.
He told me I don't have to listen to them. That I can do what I want. Every day, he'd wake up at 4, Ash. Because he'd earn more that way. And every single time, he'd give them to me. Whatever extra he earned, he'd hand them all. So I'd have something to use for my paintings. And you know what? Back home, just a good tube of paint costs almost as much as what we spend for food the whole day. But he'd always set something aside. Told me he wanted to see my paintings in a museum one day.
She pours all of it out, every little thing she loved and admired about him. Like this, it's easy to see why she has gone to such great lengths for him, why she abandoned her dreams, why she went against her wishes just to grant him another chance at life. Others will say it's her warmth that draws people to her, or her cheer. Neither are wrong, but neither is the whole truth to her either. Because those who have never bothered to look beyond the surface will never see her. See someone earnest, someone who always meant well, despite her underlying stubbornness. This is how she loves. Warmth, steadfast, unflinching. You never meet many people like her. Not in my line of work, not with the kind of people I've had to deal with. Always with something to hide, always with something to lie about. Eventually, when you run across too many of them, you change. You become like them. In many ways, for a lot of reasons, she's the kind of person I want to be and be around. Who made me feel I'm still worth something.
He didn't want me to leave. Begged that I should finish my studies first.
In the end, I couldn't even grant him that one request. I'm a terrible daughter, aren't I?
You're not.
Huh?
Oh.
You're not. I can't speak for your dad. I haven't even met the man. But I know you're not.
I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. The remark just came out. Now I'm stringing all these together as I go. But one thing is certain, none of what I'm about to say is a lie.
The Isabella I know is a total klutz, but I've never seen anyone work as hard as she does. She's the type who wears her heart on her sleeve. Though it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's always in the right place. She's intimidated by a lot of stuff, but she knows how to appreciate the smallest things in life. Frankly, you've caused us no small amount of trouble since you barged into our lives. But when I'm with you, all of my worries seem trivial.
Heat has already crept up to my face when the turn of this whole thing is about to take registers. Before I put the rest of it out, declare feelings I'm not even ready to reveal to anyone, much less to her. My hand comes to smother the rest of it. The embarrassment quickly takes the reins before I can apply. Completely clamp my mouth shut.
And I'm pretty sure Zach and Becca think the same way. You have a nasty way of growing on people like that, and you know what? We got everything we needed in here. I'll just wipe the security recordings and we're good to go. While I'm at it, you better wipe the snot off your face. And you don't look very nice when you're balding like that.
Hastily, I gather everything, the personal files, the client documents, sales agreements, and contracts, anything my hands could reach. In record time, all of it has been stacked in neat pile, ready to restore it. I'm heading for the records room. Not a few seconds later, wherever that is. It should be an easy finding, with this place is a maze of some sort, which I highly doubt. Still beats staying here and seeing the look on her face. crap. Really, her anger is still bearable. I can take that, including the glower she sends my way.
So, yeah, I'll go get the security videos and put these back where you pulled them from. Man, these are heavy, you know?
Ash, it's just paper. You don't even know where I...
Oh, no, I can handle this. Easy as pie. And, yeah, security cams, tapes, videos, cams. Yeah, I'm off.
Her rejection at this point? No, fuck. Sorry. Her rejection at this point? Maybe not yet. Getting the files back to the BRC's archive room is a sitch. With the documents back in their proper place, I locked the door behind me, tugging at twice just to make sure. I on to the next order of business, removing the evidence for a little excursion here, or at the very least the parts showing that we've been doing what we've been doing during the past hour. Can't have our faces plastered on security footage showing us breaking the law, as it were. I'm gonna have to wipe the data for Isabella's access card entries too. Presently, finding their security room proves a breeze, but what will be tricky is getting inside. The fact that no one has walked out during the whole time we've been here means the room is either empty or security sounds asleep. I'm banking more on the former. If they're cutting corners of foreign agents, I have no doubt that they'd fired the guys stationed here. They've been on watching the monitors in the first place. It's a rather common thing for establishments to just leave the security recordings indefinitely and only check the footage if something actually happens. Just to check, I press my ears against the door, listens for a sign of anyone occupying the room. For a long minute, nothing. I give them a few rattles.
Standard lock and key. Should be easy enough to pick.
We have lockpick sets, but those are only to be used if necessary and with a search warrant. Even then, it's a skill set rarely needed. Totally isn't on a cop's priority if they have authority to search premises. Bolt cutters and brute force are the favored methods. If those fail, we call the locksmith. Me, I prefer the good old hairpin trick when the use options aren't available. Besides, they are easy to hide and store for emergencies. Run my hand through my hair, I pull a pair of bobby pins. 2 of these, and I can just about open any standard lock. One makes a lever and the other makes a handle. I won't call it a complex skill, but it certainly takes time and a lot of practice to successfully pick a lock. Good thing I practiced with them for a bit in my college years. I've learned more when they're accessible and standard issue for a law enforcement officer. I go here, click there, and I manage to use all the pins and the locking mechanism soon enough. With a slight turn of the knob, the security room's right for the picking. The room's odor hits me first, a sharp and nauseating stench as if someone had accidentally spilled a gallon of bleach in the room. When was the last time we opened this place?
Ugh, this place smells awful. Jesus, it's worse than the forensics lab on a bad day.
This is probably because of the badly botched effort to clean this place up. Even in the dark, I can spy dark stains on the walls. I really don't have time to try and play is this ketchup or soda right now, but I have this strange gut feeling that who the mess might belong to. I suspect no security personnel mans the office CCTV controls and the station that standalone DVR setup is open for anyone. Normally, I have a heap of things to say about this sloppy security setup, but right now, the negligence makes the holdout squirting evidence easier.
No fuss, no muss.
The next one should be the access card data. Hopefully getting into their computer won't be too much of a hassle. Everything up to now has been smooth sailing. There have been hiccups, I'll give it that, though it does nothing to dampen the good mood I'm in. Once I shift my attention to the machine setting on the VR setup, all of it swiftly evaporates. I am no computer elf, but I can definitely recognize one more than a decade old. Simply looking at it makes me feel younger. With a heavy sigh, I powered up, mentally preparing myself for a slow apparently remaining an understatement here. It takes the whole 3 minutes for the thing to start up. The OS has started loading, and in my boredom, I start inspecting the live feeds of the cams. Only 2 works, one for the view outside. Everything seems to be in order there, and the other for the main workplace where it's a fleeting glimpse, a cursory glance, but the sight of it stops me. The image is a bit blurry, but still, I see. Oh, fuck, I see it. And standing there, right in the middle of the room, by one of the cubicles to make up the form
What
of
the hell is...
I don't get too far into the line of thought. In a few seconds, the room will just flipped out without any sort of warning while I'm still trying to make sense of what it is. The figure moves. A moment of paralysis hits me when she stops right in front of the camera. Like a damn rookie, I go still in the face of danger. I definitely haven't been trained to handle the supernatural, and this is one, isn't it? And oh fuck. Her eyes bore into me with the malice and the piercing. Even beyond the screen, it's enough to make me go numb. Only the mug crashing to the floor with my hand accidentally takes a swipe at it, snaps me out of the trance, reminding me that I'm not the only one here. Isabella. It seems she hasn't noticed anything. Am I the only one seeing this? In any case, whatever's happening, I have to get her out. Gathering my wits, I quickly reach for my phone. I saw about 2 seconds before she answers, but there's no time for it.
Did you really have to call? We're practically on the same floor.
Get out of there.
What? What are you?
Out. Get out. I'll meet you in the elevator.
You're creeping me out, Ash.
Just get yourself out of that place, now!
Without a second thought, I backed away from the controls from the room, ready to be done with this place, but before my foot even moves, she disappears.
Son of a...
You bitch! Instinct instantly takes over in my hand. Quickly I reach for the gun at my side, only to meet empty air. I saved that cost me a few precious seconds, while the paperwork I brought with me threatens to scatter everywhere at the same time. Gathering everything with my cell phone small with no weapon to protect myself, my sense of self-preservation kicks in next, and lunge toward the door. I sprint across the office without daring to look back. Isabella's already waiting in front of the elevator by the time I make it out of their office. Marie creases her eyebrows upon glancing at me, but I don't have time to answer the question in her eyes. As soon as I reach our grab her and practically throw the two of us into the open elevator and slam the button for the ground floor. A sigh of relief escapes from me when the elevator starts to descend. A clicking noise fades off in the distance. Besides me is Alicia, smoothing the sack of papers under her arm while she takes in my appearance. Concerns in her eyes, though. All I offer her is a small gesture of my hand while I attempt to compose myself. Breathe. In, out.
Why are we in such a hurry?
We need to get out of this place. Did you get everything?
Yeah, it's all here. But really, you don't look too good. What's wrong, Ash?
I'll be fine. I was in the security room. From the monitors, there was a fucking...
The rest of what I'm about to say dies on my tongue when the elevator stops and the door opens too. There's moments pause when we both take in our surroundings, confusion understandably there.
Oh, come on! They should just replace this whole thing!
No, I'm quite sure I pressed for the ground floor.
Right? But it's just as Isabella said, the elevator always did have problems when I visited in the past. Often she becomes so angry whenever we try to get to her floor, and she'll have to repeatedly smash the button for the elevator to even move. And it's always good for a laugh. I wasn't too worried then. Now, oh fucking hell. From the distance beyond the light's reach, the noise echoes in my ears enough, along with the rapid pounding in my chest. Isabella stiffens and her eyes grow wide at the sound. Gingerly, she reaches up to grab the hem of my sleeve and grips it hard, tight enough for her fingernails to dig through. Her eyes searching wildly for the source of the sound while I stand protectively in front of her.
Ash, did you hear that?
Anyone there? I can hear you moving from here. Show yourself.
No response. The response only was the soft sound of something scurrying around the floor and the walls in slow, deliberate movements, faint, but though still audible through enough in this hush until it stops. A moment.
We need to go, Ash. We have to.
And then, this time I'm certain it isn't my imagination. Against my training, my whole body freezes, hands still mid-press on the button, eyes growing wide while waiting for any sort of movement from further back. Eyes restrained with the source of the sound. I can't even offer Isabella any reassurances. Much as I hate to admit it, dread has seeped into every nerve in my body. Blessed elevator still won't work.
This isn't in my fucking training manual!
Ash, we need to leave. I know that sound. Ash, please, get the elevator.
Another series of shuffling into the ground. I laughed her, and all of a sudden she's just there. Like a twisted spider, she stares at us, a look of hunger in her eyes and venom in the twisted manner she smiles. A glee she has well earned is when we're damn flies that have been dropped right on to the spider's web.
Ashton!
Damn it!
Without warning, she moves, mocking me with each unhurried crawl she takes, knowing I'm out of mercy.
Fucking hell!
Ashton, the door! The door!
Our lives are in the hands of a crummy elevator, literally hanging between life and death. We're not going to die here. Not in a damn elevator. Oh, fuck. 2, 8, 9, 1, 4, 2. 9, 2, 3, 7, 8. 9, 7, 8. Fuck. I can do this, I can do this. It's fine, I can do this. 1, 7, 5, 3, 8. 8, 3, 2, 6, 4. 7, 4, 6, 1, 3. 3, 8. Fuck. Yeah, just skip the QET. I don't have time for it right now. As if a divine power had heard me scoring up a sore on my head, the doors closed just as I loomed near. To the elevator, the boss thing is headed up. His building is back on Reeve. In 2 ticks, she's tucking herself without any care. The mess of papers and folders she had dropped to the floor in her panic. She draws in one ragged breath after another, one brimming with nothing but relief. And this is the most I've been tired this my whole damn life. Not during training, when my superior first asked me to drop 100, not after a stakeout, but after smashing a fucking elevator button repeatedly. I slumped to the ground beside her, worn out, but I don't let myself feel relief again, not until we're out of here. Isabella seems to be of the same mind as she looks to me. Still, I found myself sharing a shaky laugh with her.
We're okay. We're fine. Right?
Yeah, we're good. Alive. Fuck, we should have taken the goddamn stairs.
Twice I've seen it, thrice if I include the party. Unless in tripping balls without realizing it, there is no doubt in my mind that this is actually happening. I don't want to believe it, but with the truth staring at me in the face, I'd be stupid to deny the reality of the matter. I have been recording for almost 2 hours. I'm ending this video here. So I decided to go back and just finish off that day and just add it to the recording later. So, yeah, on to the story. As soon as the lift hits the ground floor, we hightail out of the building, Seb sound asleep as we pass by a station. However, in the face of what we've seen and everything I've faced tonight, we really can't care less who will still see us on our way out. The sooner we get away from this place, the farther, the better. I'm just not sure that it also means being safe. She almost got us, damn it, the fucking thing almost got us, had us. Shit was on, but luckily I managed to get the fucking elevator unstuck, and the blessed thing not working the last second. I need some air, fresh, breathable air that doesn't stink like death and gore all at once. Panicking, Christ, losing focus with another person here, I can't afford that right now. Isabel hasn't said anything, but I know she's more shaken than I am. I can't lose when another person is depending on me.
Remember your training, Frey.
Another deep breath, and soon I started the engine and driving us off. After that little incident, somewhere open would be good. Someplace I won't get trapped. Luxbourne Park brings a welcome relief, though only by some. The chill that has heated my bones is still there, unfurling underneath my skin. If I don't move, if I don't busy myself with anything, soon my brain will go haywire. It's the last thing I want to happen when there are plenty of things to do. But this already answers all of it, doesn't it? Those stats. How many copies of the letter are out there? Isabella can't have the only one if other people are also getting cursed. Could be that the one she has shown us is just one of 5, maybe even more, that could pass us to that whole passes to 5 people. Business is ridiculous, but at this point, is it still? Oh no, we found 21 people who might have read the letter, 7 of them deceased, 8 if we count Cooper. And that's only with what we can find right now. We have no idea how the contractors and specialists hired from outside the company are doing, if we are in any way affected. How many people are suffering? How many of them missing? How many are dead? Can I still even blame the Wrights for this? If anything, they might be in danger as well. I don't think I can wish a curse upon anyone, no matter how big of a douchebag Luke Wright is. There's also that woman. How did we get out of this mess? How did we get away from her? Shit, still so many things we need to look into, yet all my body wants to do is pace, burn out whatever excess energy there is in me.
Ashton, I'm getting dizzy. Will you sit down?
This is the first time Isabella has said anything. She's been sitting quietly since we dropped her. Better and less distracting than watching her nervous habits. I suppose she certainly seems calm now. Too calm, in fact, for someone who has just seen something terrible. But it's been more than a few weeks already. People do get desensitized to things at some point, even someone like Isabella. Who knows what's going on inside her head, though? Inside mine, there are too many and none of them would sit still.
I'm not going crazy, am I? I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I didn't inhale anything weird. Just shit. Shit. Isabella, please tell me that wasn't...
What I'm not expecting when I turn to her is mirth, one that she could barely contain.
You're laughing. You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Not quite sure what she sees in my face, but in the next second I'll laugh, something bursts out from her.
I'm so sorry. It's just that you should have seen the look on your face back there.
Yes, right. Sure. I'm not the one who's panicked. You almost ripped my arm off.
Yeah, but...
Isabella, this isn't funny. We could have ended up dead.
Oh, he skipped a line.
I know, I'm really sorry. But this is just too precious to miss. You really lost your shit for a moment there.
You're trying to get back at me, aren't you?
Well, I'm not the one who kept calling someone scaredy cat for years. How does it feel?
I'm not scared.
Really? Because it doesn't seem that way to me. At all.
I'm not, all right? I'm just... I just don't know what to do right now.
Immediately after, the moment passes, replaced by another tense silence. After dies on her lips as everything sinks in, we're in deep shit, and it has finally caught up and hit us like a ton of bricks. Hit me more than anyone. Guess she's been warning us of this since day one, and I'm the first person who brushed it off. Despite that, she still reaches out to me, tugging at my sleeve almost desperately. Her hands are trembling, there's a tremor in her voice when she speaks. Without the cheer, only fear remains. One that she has been burdened with from the beginning.
We're still going to do something about it, right? Not just stand around and let that thing get us.
Unexpectedly, she leans her forward against my arm, and her grip on my sleeve tightens. There's desperation in there, quiet plea.
I don't want to lose anyone anymore, Ash.
I wish I could give her that promise, but with so many unknowns and so many things I don't understand about this, how could I? Why she still trusts that I can do something about this baffles me. It all feels wholly undeserved, considering the way I treated her. And despite my reluctance, I find myself returning her hold in kind. A grasp warm and light enough for comfort. Not a promise, but the closest thing to it. We'll end that there then. And if you couldn't tell, yeah, I probably just added that last bit to, finish off that video. So yeah. If you enjoyed this, subscribe, check out other stuff I've done, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, bye-bye.